gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car. I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jinquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Medgar Evers, and it's a very tranquil scene compared to just a couple hours ago where a drive-by shooting just took place. Excuse me, I'm getting live updates as we speak. I've just been updated to the amount of casualties from this drive-by shooting, and I'm getting reports that 2 people were actually declared deceased and 27 others were shot and injured but are in stable condition. And although we must pray for the families of the fallen, we must also praise God for the aim of the super gremlin. If you want to know more about the victims of this crime, make sure you add BGZM News 17 on Patreon at www.patreon.com/blackgenzmindset. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on the video to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this gun violence in the streets. For more hard-hitting news coverage from the community, by the community, I'm Jinquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
And cut.
All right, dog. Let's get the out of here before these niggas come back.
Whoa. Yo,
Whoa.
ain't that nigga Jay?
Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me.
He just went live
That
with
ain't
that
me.
funky ass suit on.
That's that nigga. That's not me.
Hey, get that nigga.
Jinquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Pray for me.
Another robbery spree. Armed robbers targeting people all over the city.
Police alerting people about dozens and dozens of these robberies over the last few weeks. Tonight, only on 2, one of the victims shares his terrifying encounter with our Maribel Gonzalez.
It's a scene replaying in many parts of the city. Armed robbers targeting people on the street.
By the time I realized this happening, they're already on the grass. The guy has an AK in my face.
This one happened on August 4th in Humboldt.
Woo! So they running up with full sticks, AKs, and they catching you slipping. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Park to Eli Diaz, and it was caught on camera.
But it sounded like that happened so quickly.
They didn't even have time to think. I would have ran.
Eli and his neighbors were out.
And if you would have ran, they would have gunned you down. Now, thankfully, they didn't gun him down after robbing him, because a lot of these super gremlins, they'll take what you have and then they'll kill you, or they'll shoot you in the leg, like that other story we covered. So you can't win for losing.
Side at the time because they had heard gunshots nearby and wanted to see what was going on.
As we're walking back, we stop right here where this post is. We're talking, and all of a sudden, the car just pulls up on us.
You can see it here. 2 masked men jump out of that car, one of them with a gun tied to his wrist with a bandana.
He got close to my face, and I was like, dude, you can have whatever you want, man. Just don't put the gun down. You don't have to put it in my face.
Eli says it got even more tense when his neighbor didn't want to give up her purse.
He grabs it, and she resisted, and that's when he kind of lightly hits her in the face.
No one was seriously hurt. The gunman getting away with the purse and Eli's cell phone. To Eli, what was perhaps more shocking than the robbery itself was just how young they appeared to be.
I heard their voices. I heard the one to my left. I was like, he's a kid. Puberty hasn't even hit this kid yet.
And I mean, while you over here smiling for it, these kids will murder you and not think twice about it. These super teen gremlins are on demon time.
He sounded like a baby.
All minors, says Eli, but probably not first-timers.
And the cops are telling us that we were the 9th person to get hit at that point, to get robbed. They were more than likely saying it was the same crew.
So far, no arrest. The incident now leaving Eli shaken.
I walk around, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to be more scared when I see kids walking around than I do adults.
And demanding action.
These kids are roaming the streets for hours.
Yep, and their mothers cannot control them, like I said. The fathers are nowhere to be found. So these super teen gremlins are taking matters into their own hands. And it is ruining not only the city of Chicago, but Illinois as a state, along with policies and revolving door policing. It's just a recipe for disaster.
What about the parents? Do you not know where your kid's at? Your 12-year-old kid? That bothers me. What are we doing as adults? We're just going to let it happen?
In Humboldt Park, Maribel Gonzalez, CBS 2 News.
Well, good morning. The investigation continues in all of these cases. The youngest victim was 16-year-old Rayshawn Hood. Now, he's the grandson of a community activist who for more than 20 years has been advocating for an end to violence.
Woo! 20 years advocating for an end to the violence in Chicago. Hasn't gotten anywhere so far. All right. And this is a norm in the community, because you cannot speak on these issues that we are facing in the Black community every day. They go unaddressed. And also, you know, you get shamed for speaking on topics like this. You get shamed for shedding a light on what's actually going on out here in these streets. All right. And it's not right. And this continues to lead to the perpetuation of this violence in the community. But, you know, the community, they really don't care. They are willing to, sacrifice everything just to save face and be right in an argument and be able to displace the blame onto someone else or the system or whatnot. And yes, there are systematic issues, but also there are other issues that need to be addressed internally, individually, that we're not doing.
It triggers me back to why I started doing this part of the ministry in the first place, and help the community that are suffering generation after generation from gun violence.
Since Friday night, police say at least 16 people have been reported shot in Woodlawn, West Pullman, Auburn Gresham, Chicago Lawn, Englewood, North Lawndale, and the Loop. In Little Village on Sunday morning around 1:25, officers responded to a call of a person shot. Once on scene, they found a 29-year-old male in a flipped-over vehicle with a gunshot wound to the head.
Damn.
He was transported to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition and later died from his injuries. Officials say the youngest victim was 16-year-old Rayshawn Hood, who was found on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound to his chest. He was transported to Comer Children's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead.
That's why we have got to stand up as a human society and denounce this. If more and more people get...
So, I mean, he's, you know, now it's, oh, we're all one, we're all human. Before it was identity politics. No, this isn't a human society problem. It's a Black issue. Keep it a buck. This is a solely, this is us. This is on us to fix, not no human society. This is an internal battle that we must triumph over. Otherwise, you know, we're headed down a dark path.
Numb to violence, the worse we'll become.
Pastor Hood will host a press conference later this morning. He's expected to announce a reward for any information that leads to an arrest or conviction in his grandson's case. Reporting live at police headquarters, Christine Flores, WGN News.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe. Hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jinquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all killing me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take
What
all your
more do you want from me?
The victims range in ages from 16 to 50 years old. The youngest victim was shot here in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood.
Tiny man, as we call him, Ray Sean is his name, always was a short in stature, even when he was little. Good kid on the basketball team, baseball team, just an all-around kid, high school kid.
So I'm going to take Gramps' word for it, all right, and assume that he's telling the truth about this kid and he was a good kid. And obviously that's what he's supposed to say. But this grandfather, he has participated in violence intervention in the community for the longest. And now he's kind of coming to a point where things really hit home for him. So very sad situation. Hopefully his kid was not involved in, the gang culture, because we all know where that leads. But, it sounds like they're trying to paint the picture of wrong place, wrong time. Not necessarily convinced.
Reverend Robin Hood has spent more than 20 years advocating for an end to violence, and on Friday night, it all hit too close to home when his 16-year-old grandson was shot and killed. Pastor Hood met us near the scene at 81st and Racine.
It triggers me back to why I started doing this part of the ministry in the first place, and help the community that are suffering generation after generation from gun violence.
Rayshawn was one of more than 14 people reportedly shot this weekend, and one of more than half a dozen who died from their injuries. Police say the victims range in ages between 16 and 50 years old. All of the cases are still under investigation.
Somebody's seeing something. And not only for my grandson, but any case, we have got to tell on these killers, and we cannot let them roam.
Woo! So he is advocating for snitching. That's pretty much a death sentence in the community. So I hope he's got a concealed carry license, because what he's saying right now, it could cost him his life.
Freely.
In Rayshawn's case, police say the teen was found on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound to his chest. He was transported to Comer Children's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead.
I want the community to remember that he was a basketball player. He stayed on the honor roll in school. He was just like any other youth.
The investigation continues into all of these cases. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Reporting in Auburn Gresham neighborhood, Christine Flores, WGN News.
Well-known community activist who responds to violence and consoles victims' families, seeking his own justice tonight after the murder of his grandson this weekend.
WGN's Sean Lewis joins us from the newsroom with his message tonight. Sean.
Simon and Micah, many people are familiar with the Reverend Robin Hood. Over the weekend, his 16-year-old grandson fell victim to Chicago's gun violence epidemic. And today, a reward being offered to find the person responsible. On a steamy Monday morning,
this killing did not have to happen.
Chicago faith leaders turned up.
And this is what they pretty much say about every killing in Chicago. It's not working. The faith leaders, this shouldn't have happened. This ain't supposed to happen. It's just not lining up, okay? Because the community is completely broken. All right, the faith leaders are corrupt, sold out to the Democratic Party, and they really don't care as long as them tithes and offerings is coming through.
Up the heat, to find a murderer.
Let us stand together and let's fight this thing the right way.
3 days since the 16-year-old grandson of the Reverend Robin Hood was shot in the chest and killed at 81st and South Racine. A $10,000 reward being announced today to find the gunman.
Yesterday, me and my son walked the street and we seen blood crying from the ground. Not only my grandson's blood, not only my DNA blood, but many youth and adults on the south side of Chicago have been killed right here in this street.
Rashawn Hood was a student at Collins Academy.
I'm sorry, but didn't we vote for this? Didn't we demand that the police get out of our neighborhoods and we can do it ourselves and da-da-da-da? Well, this is the result. The community is not emotionally mature enough to handle law and order, legislation, just as a whole. I'm not saying one individual can't, but as a whole, we're not there yet where we're in a position to call the shots ethically. I'm just going to keep it a buck. The train of thought and the logic behind these scenarios and the excuses that are given for these scenarios show how little, and I'm watching my words carefully, how we're just not ready to be in these leadership positions. And as you can see with Mayor Brandon Johnson, he's a shining example of, if you're just voting with or for your skin color, then these are the results that you're going to get.
High school and was with friends when someone opened fire about 10:15 Friday evening. His murder, one of 6 in Chicago over the weekend that included a total of 33 people shot. According to Chicago police, 220 Chicagoans under 18 have been shot so far this year.
This corner over here has been a problem for a long time. I've been for at least 5 shootings on this corner that I know.
In the gap for this family, God. We lift them up before you, Father.
Behind every shooting is the pain of reality, one that these faith leaders say can never be normalized.
We cannot become immune to this madness.
Somebody saw something. That's right. Somebody heard something. That's right. So turn yourself in, or for God's sake, the friends who know about it, the neighbors who watched it, somebody driving by or somebody walking by saw it, turn them in.
Again, a $10,000 reward being offered today for information leading to the person who shot Rashawn. Chicago police continue to look for suspects in this case. If you have any information, you can contact CPD directly or file an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video. All right, guys. So, yeah, let me just make sure this volume's right. Yeah, so we got to talk about this. We have to talk about this crime spree, carjacking spree that went on in DC last week. Very, very sad situation. We had multiple casualties, and this is pretty much what has been going on in DC for a minute now, but it looks like it's now getting some national headlines because you got a former White House official who was killed in this carjacking spree. And obviously the super gremlin who did this carjacking spree, he crashed out. So, and it's still hard to get any type of identification pictures or anything of this guy. So, but I do want to start off the show by kind of giving you guys an atmosphere of the reporting leading up to this incident. And this report was actually a month ago about carjacking concerns in the DC area. And it just kind of seems like this reporting fell on deaf ears. So let's get into it.
D.C. is set to close the year with a sobering distinction, one of the few major American cities where violent crime is rising, especially when it comes to carjackings, a crime that has more than doubled this year in the district.
Yeah, it's troubling, as we all know. The News 4 I-team wanted to know what's behind the trend and why more often than not, it's the young people who are driving it. Investigative reporter.
So you hear that? It's the young people who are driving it. That means these super teen gremlins are on demon time. And what it just seems like there are no parents involved in these young ninjas' lives. That's what it's really coming down to. You have no parental guidance, and the parental guidance that you do have are telling these guys, hey man, go out there and commit crimes and go out there and bring something back to mama. That's the kind of parenting that we're getting in the community. And it's just so destructive. And, you know, we have these leftists talking about this is dangerous and that is dangerous and dangerous rhetoric and all this kind of stuff. But what about the actual physical danger that these super gremlins are putting regular everyday people in on a daily basis?
Ted Oberg shares what he found.
As an Air Force veteran and now occasional Uber driver, Princess Monier has seen some tough things.
He opened my door and stood right here with his gun.
But she says she didn't see it coming when a ride she gave 5 teens last month from D.C. to Prince George's County turned into an attempted carjacking.
Wow. So she gave 5 young ninjas a ride. And this ride turned into an attempted carjacking. You know it's really bad when you can't even drive Uber anymore in your city. You can't even do Lyft anymore. It's a numbers game at this point. Like, you're risking your life every time you get in the car. This is what's going down in D.C., the nation's capital. DC should be the safest place in the United States, honestly. But as we can see, it looks like it's just deteriorating. And the people can feel it on the streets.
Didn't even see the gun at first. I just heard him say, "Give me your keys, Ma." And I turned around and was like,
Not give me your keys, Ma. I'm dead, bruh. And I guess they're trying to be respectful carjackers, or maybe lay down some Mac game on her, talking about some Ma. But it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous how devilish these young ninjas are turning out on a daily basis. They are coming from places where they're being told this is okay. And then the government, the local governments, are not prosecuting them when they do get arrested. So these guys are committing these crimes, getting arrested, and getting let back out on the streets, just like the illegal aliens who attacked the police officer in New York City, being arrested and let back out onto the streets. And Lord knows that we've been talking about this for the longest, but now it's really starting to get national attention. Because when these young ninjas get caught up, they get thrown into the juvenile system, and they're definitely getting back out onto the streets ASAP. So we have a rampant issue going on in the community, and then you have the courts enabling it and defending it and not giving stiff enough consequences. I mean, you need to be sitting down. If you carjack somebody, especially at gunpoint, bro, that's got to be an automatic 15 years. That's how I feel.
"Hey, are you kidding me? You're not really doing it."
In that moment, Princess nearly became one of a record number of carjacking victims.
But don't forget that these are the same women who were saying defund the police. They were saying that we can police our own. They were saying that. So it's crazy that now they're the most affected. They're the most affected by the crime, right? Obviously, you know, besides black men, black women are ended up being the most affected by the crime that they were advocating for just a few years ago. Can you guys believe that it's been 4 years? Can y'all believe that it's been 4 years since the defund the police movement really started? I mean, what is going on in this country is absolutely crazy. It's a total 180 from just 4 years ago, man.
Our area this year. The latest data show that while carjackings are on pace to fall by 10% in Fairfax County, they're up nearly 20% in Prince George's County and 41% in Montgomery County. But that's nothing compared to DC, where carjacking has more than doubled.
Wow.
Rising to
103% increase since 2023, I guess.
936 carjackings as of this week.
It's getting ridiculous. I mean, I'm scared of children.
DC's surge comes at a time that
You heard it. She's scared of children. And this ain't the children of the corn. This the children of the chitlins. I mean, these young ninjas, bro, they will take your life, man. They will take your life. It's like the younger they are, the more afraid you have to be, because then they really don't value life and they are extremely selfish and will kill you in a heartbeat, not think anything of it.
The News 4i team found carjacking is falling in other major American cities like New York, Chicago, Philly, and Baltimore.
And guys, remember, we are monetized again. We are monetized. So hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal, hit the Super Trap. You know, show some love to your boy. You know, hit me up with some dinner or something. You feel me? But guy, I mean, it's getting ridiculous, unbearable, unlivable, as I have stated multiple times before. But YouTube doesn't want this content out. They want to censor us. They want to stifle our voice. They don't want us to be able to warn other people. Because if this video, if I had made this video about carjacking in DC specifically, it might have gotten to some of these guys who, you know, ended up being victims in this carjacking rampage. Might have gotten to those guys, and they would have been more aware and maybe been able to defend themselves.
So the I-Team wanted to know what's driving this trend, and why is it still going up in DC when carjackings are decreasing in so many other cities? While critics of U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves this year pointed to a large number of cases his office didn't pursue, he says that's since improved, and Graves blames DC law, which years ago loosened penalties for violent offenders under 25 years old.
I've been sounding the alarm that the criminal justice system that DC has built does not meet the moment that we are in. The mayor has correctly flagged that the law has swung too far over the last 7 years. Armed carjacking is a great example of her and my point.
University of Texas at Dallas criminologist Bruce Jacobs has studied carjacking for years and says it is by and large a crime committed by young people.
Roughly 75% of all these crimes are committed by people in their teens or 20s.
Jacobs says there is something to a perceived lack of consequence.
It emboldens offenders to commit these crimes because, first of all, the perceived certainty of detection is low, but even if you do get caught, the perceived severity of sanctions are also low.
He's got a name for that phenomenon.
Yeah, you're not getting the young ninjas have realized that you're not getting time for carjackings like that, especially if you're under 18.
Vicarious punishment avoidance effects, which means, oh, my friends just did this, they didn't get caught, or if they did get caught, they didn't. Not much happened to them.
A quick glance at DC's carjacking data suggests some of that could be at play. Of the more than 900 carjackings this year in the district, there have only been 169 arrests, though we don't know how many carjackings they account.
Wow. Out of 936 carjackings, only 169 arrests. That's ridiculous. So they're only really getting to 18% of the carjackers. This is what happens when you defund the police. This is what happens when your police force, retires in mass because y'all are doing mask mandates and, vaccine mandates and forcing people to get the jab. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now you don't even have enough cops to get a hold of this carjacking crisis that's going on in DC. And then we see the bubbling of this crisis just a month later, guys. This stuff means something. It matters. And the content that we put out, it matters. It means something. Somebody's seeing it, even though it's not as many people as we want to be seeing it. Somebody's seeing it, and it's saving somebody's life. It really is. The content is saving somebody's life. You guys sharing the video, you guys commenting, you guys making funny jokes, and us laughing and politicking and coming up with solutions in the comment section in the chat, or just giving up and saying, hey, fuck it, there are no solutions. All of it is contributing to saving somebody's life, because somebody's going to see this and be like, okay, now I know they jacking in DC. Let me avoid this. Let me avoid that. Let me, if I see a super gremlin with his pants sagging and he talking about sliding or jugging or bipping on somebody, then I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be bipping and bopping out the way. These things are saving lives, guys. So share the video. Continue to support the movement, because at the end of the day, we're really out here alone. They're not trying to tell you who's doing what. They're not trying to tell you where the majority of this crime is happening. They're not trying to tell you anything. They're just like, you're on your own.
63% of those arrested are Jew.
I mean, these parents need to get their children.
DC's Office of the Attorney General, which handles crimes involving...
You heard her. These parents need to get their children. Sisters, come get your kids.
I mean, these parents need to get their children.
DC's Office of the Attorney General, which handles crimes involving kids, reports prosecuting 57% of the carjacking cases it received through October, saying there wasn't enough evidence to pursue the rest.
They're not doing enough to catch them.
Princess, who's been driving Uber on the side to help raise money for her terminally ill daughter, tells us she managed to keep her car by doing what experts say you shouldn't, fighting back.
Because the car came and it blew the horn. He turned around and looked. That was his mistake. And when he did that, I shoved him as hard as I could.
Nice.
And then I pulled off.
At her family's urging, she's since installed cameras in her car and is now driving around with Kevlar plates.
Wow.
In the event somebody else points another gun at me, I at least have a way to protect myself from a shot.
Wow.
Steps she says are necessary to protect herself because she doesn't believe the police or prosecutors will. Ted Ober for the News 4 IT.
And what does it say that she feels like she has to do that to protect herself?
It says that y'all idiots defunded the police. You fucking leftists. They literally defund the police, and then they're like, well, what does it say? She has to carry around, Kevlar plates. Y'all just reported on it a couple years ago. They defunded the police. That's what it says. It's insane. The gaslighting is crazy, bro, especially NBC. They were really running with that defund the police shit. All of their political pundits, all their talking heads were saying, parroting, repeating, and giving momentum to the defund the police movement.
The I-team checked in D.C. Their cases have more than doubled this year. D.C. police were only able to add one more investigator to the department's carjacking task force this year, bringing the total number on the task force to 14. Meanwhile, today, D.C. police announced 2 more carjacking arrests.
So there you have it. That is pretty much going to set the tone for what the rest of the show. And the rest of the show is going to be pretty heavy, pretty sad, because we have a few individuals who were deleted in this rampage. But let's go ahead and get into the video to kind of show you guys what's going on. If my joint will load really quickly. Hold up. Let me just pull it up. There we go. All right. Yeah, like the video, guys. Share the video. Obviously, YouTube is not sending out notifications, so hit the notification bell, if you will. We're about 35 minutes into the stream. 35 minutes into the stream. I sent the live notification to my Instagram, but you know how that thing goes. There's uniform shadow banning going on. But anyways, let's get into it.
Talking about DC every morning, we're talking about more and more shootings. It's happened again across the district, more loss of life. This time, a random carjacking in Northeast turning deadly and a search underway for a suspect. That wasn't the only shooting, though, yesterday. Our Melanie Alwick, she's live in Northwest DC with what we know about both investigations. Mel.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just letting you know that DC Police and Mayor Muriel Valls are just wrapping up their press conference here. So I was just kind of getting into position after they left the room. Very somber incident and press conference here as they talked about the tragic loss of life. But letting you know that all of these incidents that we've been covering this morning, as you've been watching Fox.
Oh, her mic went out. Damn. All right. So, guys, obviously, here is a picture of the suspect. He has a Pusheisty mask. Pusheisty mask. Pusheisty mask. What did I tell you guys about this Pusheisty mask? I literally called it. I said they will be normalized. They will be used for violent crime. And they will not be able to put that genie back in the bottle because anybody can just say, oh, I'm wearing it for the CV now. And people don't. I mean, in the South, they will look at you. I think at this point, we're looking at people with the Pusheisties like, all right, come on. Unless you're in Atlanta. But it's very normal to go inside of buildings and establishments with the Pusheisty all the way up and not think any different. You know, back then, if somebody walks in an establishment with a ski mask, you're pulling out the shotgun off from under the counter, right? But in this day and age, it's COVID protocol, and this is what they normalize. This is what the leftists created, and the reality they've created for many people, you know, to the tune where it's hard to identify these individuals, even if they are caught on video surveillance.
Street Northwest, which to some people is 901 New York Avenue. The building wraps both sides there. And what looked like might have just been a random shooting. It turns out that a person was sitting in their vehicle when someone came up and shot them.
Damn.
And then that person, who was in the vehicle, stumbled out of the car and collapsed. That initial call coming out for an unconscious man. Well, it turns
So these super gremlins are just going around shooting random people in their car. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Turns out the suspect in that case is the same one who then ran over to the Noma neighborhood. We know that there was one attempted carjacking that failed, that person then running again and going over to the area where you've seen us talking this morning about the
So obviously this is a crash out job. He wanted to die. He shoots somebody, then goes and tries a car, and he wanted to take out as many people as he could during the process. I mean, this is the black community in 2024. We got a lot of crash out dummies. We got a lot of guys who are just boom, just straight crashing out. Nothing to live for in their minds, nothing to live for, and just crash out. When we're living in, you know, besides all of this chaos is going on with our government, we're living in the best time to live in human history. And you have these idiots crashing out, throwing their whole lives away. It's absolutely insane. And just hurting other people as you know, are looking to kill yourself. This is suicide by cop, in my opinion. And, you know, obviously he kills others a lot. I mean, he wanted to take other people with him because he's evil. Guys, y'all need to understand the level of evil in the community. Hey man, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You know, really basic stuff too. Really basic stuff too, but the level of evil and wickedness that has, you know, seeped into the black community as a whole. You know, when you do have what people are going to explain as a mental health episode, when you do have these situations go down, right? Because I'm not going to give them the mental health out. But these guys are thinking of the most wicked and most evil way to go out. I'm telling you that right now. And what this monster did, you know, I mean, he's a coward, complete coward, crashed out, and took innocent people's lives along with him.
Man who was outside of his vehicle getting into an altercation there in the Noma neighborhood as witnesses and people who live nearby just watched in horror. And we know that DC police trying to do CPR on that victim over there. And that is in the northeast quarter. And that suspect who shot the driver of that gray vehicle then was able to drive away. So that carjacking, there was an all points bulletin out. There was the lookout for that vehicle, that Chrysler. And what we do know is that throughout the evening, DC police, working with local law enforcement partners, began an all search for that vehicle. And that vehicle was then spotted, as we mentioned, if you're watching our press conference, asking the question about this incident that we had heard about on 295 at the Pennsylvania Avenue exit, firing one shot at a DC police cruiser, striking the side of the door, but then that officer not injured. Then we know that there were...
Wow, so he fired a shot at a DC officer. Like I said, self-deletion by a cop.
More, there was another carjacking at some point around 3 this morning. We know that the suspect was in that Nissan Rogue that you've heard my colleague Stephanie Ramirez talking about, ending up in Prince George's County with the incident that we had there. So really just a wild series of events that started about 5:20 yesterday afternoon, Monday afternoon, going throughout the city, ending up in Prince George's County. And as Mayor Bowser said, just a series of unspeakable acts, tragic incidents leading to loss of life once again. I'll send it back to you.
Quite the timeline, Mel. Thanks very much.
Yeah, a horrible story, an insane sequence of events that has, you know, put a stain on the city of DC. Shout out to Caesar D with the $5 PayPal. I really appreciate that. He says, Caesar D in the comments section, in Oakland, 2 huge problems are car break-ins and getting robbed at gas stations. It's not letting me see the whole message. Hold up. Let me see if I can see it through my email. Yeah, so he's saying in Oakland. Okay, here we go. In Oakland, two huge problems are car break-ins and getting robbed at gas stations, causing many, including myself, to avoid going to the city altogether.
Hold on. Hello? Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
So, yes, I 100% agree with you, Caesar D. I'm actually in Atlanta, and I feel the same way. It's a huge issue, and I try and avoid going into the city as much as possible. You know, thank God I was able to get out of Midtown and be on the outskirts. But yeah, I'm literally not trying to go to the city. So Caesar D is definitely outside with it because he sees what is going on in the community, and it's horrible. It's horrible. It's almost it just sits and has you wondering, how did it get to this point, or has it always been like this? I mean, I don't think it's always been like this, but damn, it is getting so bad. And we would think that 2024 would have something more on the horizon, but it just looks like the community is doing more of the same. These super gremlins are on demon time.
All right, we've got breaking new information about that carjacking and shooting rampage through the streets of D.C. and Prince George's County. Now, this ended with an innocent victim dead and the suspect also killed.
Yeah, in the past 15 minutes or so, we've learned that suspect's name, or Alexis Wainwright, joins us live from Northwest D.C., where this crime spree started with all this new information as well. Alexis.
Hey, good evening. Within the last 20 minutes or so, the Attorney General of Maryland has identified that suspect that was shot and killed by New Carrollton police as 28-year-old Artel Cunningham of Suitland, Maryland. Now, we just spoke with a woman who says...
So, Artel Cunningham.
She came face-to-face with Cunningham, but somehow managed to get away.
And that's when a man came right up face-to-face with me, and he started saying, "Can I get your keys, ma'am? Can I get your keys?" a bunch of times. Then he flashed his gun.
A woman who doesn't want to be identified is sharing her exchange with a carjacker Monday night.
And I just ran the other direction. I had a flight or fight response, and I didn't give up my keys. I just ran with my keys.
Yeah, and that could be a solution as well. Fight or flight. Obviously, she flew. She took up on out of there. And, shout out to her for getting away from this super gremlin. Guys, these people feel entitled to your things. That's just the reality. They believe that your stuff should be their stuff. And a lot of them are justifying this through reparations. So, well, your stuff should be my stuff because we never got reparations. That is the mindset of a lot of these individuals. And they're acting it out plain as day. And if you can't see it, you're just asleep. And it's a huge problem. It's a huge issue, man. And although, idealistically, everybody would say, yeah, I wish that we got paid for this and we got paid for that. It's not happening, dog. They sending money to Ukraine. They sending money to Israel. They're not worried about no damn reparations. Right? So y'all need to get that shit out your mind. Idealistically, does it sound great? Yeah, it sounds great. Give every nigga a check. But what is that really going to solve? Is that really going to help anything? Is that going to make anything better? Right? Because see what niggas did with the stimulus checks. They bought fucking, Benzes. They bought Benz trucks and shot at each other. That's literally all that happened. That's what niggas did with their stimmies.
To just get out of there.
She says she was visiting a friend in the Noma area and couldn't believe what happened after she refused to give up her car key.
I just feel very lucky to be alive.
Tonight, people are walking with concern along K and 9th Street in Northwest, the site of one of a string of carjackings in D.C. and Maryland police believe were committed by the same man.
It's unbelievable, and it is very, very sad to see this happening.
New Carrollton, Maryland police say they shot the man who they believe is responsible for the rampage.
He didn't have to kill him. Like, you're going to kill him for out of all the people? Like, why would you kill him?
Yeah, and I believe this is the father of one of the victims. Because I was like, I know this man ain't talking about something you ain't have to kill the suspect. But yeah, this is one of the father of one of the victims, and we'll hear from him later on in the stream. Maybe he'll have some insightful things to tell us, about his son and about maybe what he thinks is going on and the problems in DC, but we'll get into that later.
Like, it just makes no sense.
Alberto Vasquez's family is still trying to understand why. They say their son, who celebrated his 35th birthday earlier this month, is the man who was shot and killed in a carjacking in Noma.
Say life goes on, or you got to be strong, and I don't even know really what strong is at this point.
Tonight, people...
So, we got one victim right there. Very sad. He looks like he's of the Afro-Latina ilk. And then we have Mike Gill, right? Former DC board elections GOP representative, served under Obama and Trump. You know, very important person. Not saying that the other guy wasn't important, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Somebody who worked in the government and they were touched by this issue, right? They were touched. This is no longer a situation where the lawmakers and the legislators and, you know, the people working in government are not affected by the policies that they enact. This issue is gaining traction. It's gaining legs. It's gaining wings, and it is touching everybody in its path. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Now sending prayers to Mike Gill, the former GOP representative of the DC Board of Elections. Sources say he's still fighting for his life after being shot by the same suspect here in Northwest. His family releasing a statement to WUSA 9 saying in part, Mike is an amazing husband, father, friend, and colleague. He has a wonderful sense of humor no matter the situation. And tonight,
it's been really concerning because I grew up here. I was born and raised here. And yeah, we've always had issues, but like I feel like it's getting more and more common.
People who live and frequent these areas say they.
So this sister says she grew up there and they've always had issues, but it's getting more and more common now. Okay.
We just want these carjackings to stop.
What's more scary is I'm not sure exactly what the solution is.
You don't live in DC if your car hasn't got jacked into yet.
Wow. Imagine that. You don't live in DC if your car hasn't gotten jacked into, is what he said. He meant broken into, but it almost sounds like Biden's "you ain't black," right? You ain't black if your car ain't got robbed yet. You ain't live in DC. I mean, it's almost comparable, right? But this is the mindset, and the communities, you guys can see, have accepted this wholeheartedly. Yeah, the car got jacked. It's just some nigga shit. It's just some hood nigga shit. We've gotten so used to accepting the bare minimum and, you know, just an uncivilized way of living, which we're going to call it what it is. I mean, it's completely out of control, unacceptable, uncivilized way of living, where you have our children in the street specifically going to random people, random other communities, and shooting and killing them for their vehicle.
So to hear about it, like, that's why my parents they don't really want me to live in DC, because like shooting right here, right where I go to school, shooting down the street, carjacking, like, it's a very dangerous place. Like,
And tonight, the woman we spoke to says that Cunningham's demeanor was very strange. She was whispering the entire time. So a lot of developing details still coming from this case. Of course, we'll continue to monitor that situation and update you as we learn more. But for now, live in Northwest, Alexis Wainwright, WUSA 9.
The whole situation is so tragic. And just to hear about the family of the victim and how they are left to try to put the pieces of their lives back together again, it is just heartbreaking all the way around. Alexis, thank you.
But this is what the woke agenda has done. This is what, you know, these movements to absolve these super gremlins of crimes and somehow rectify decades of injustice and targeted arrests in the community. But at the end of the day, now we see what happens when there isn't an emphasis or target on the community and you just leave them to their own devices. Now it's completely murder town. It's murder town, right? Like the large gatherings, you can call that quits right now. Large gatherings in the community need to be completely shut down. I mean, I was saying this when they shot up the Juneteenth festival in DC last year. They shot up Juneteenth. And I was like, yeah, y'all need to shut down the large gatherings in the community. Man, I mean, it's almost unimaginable. Like, we're seeing the things that is going on in our country right now, and it's almost like I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe the illegal immigration issue is going on, and you have people calling them asylum seekers and migrants and all this other bullshit. Like, I can't believe that's going on right now. I can't believe that you have illegal aliens who put their hands and feet on New York's finest and were released with no bail. I can't believe it. It's absolutely insane. And then the liberals, the leftists, they still want these guys in the country and still believe that these guys are contributing to our society. Couldn't be further from the truth.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Tonight, people are walking with concern along K and 9th Street in Northwest, the site of one of a string of carjackings in D.C. and Maryland. Police believe were committed by the same man.
It's unbelievable, and it is very, very sad to see this happening.
New Carrollton, Maryland police say they shot the man who they believe is responsible for the rampage.
He didn't have to kill him. Like,
Oh, sorry, I just played this one. Let's move on. Here's more from the family.
Right now on WUSA 9 News at 11, we are unpacking an incredibly violent day and a half across the D.C. region. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm Lorenzo Hall.
I'm Leslie Foster. In a few minutes, you're going to hear a family's heartbreak as police piece together one person's deadly rampage. Now, this map shows just how that violent spray spanned from D.C. into Prince George's County.
Yeah, the rampage started with 2 incidents in D.C. between 6 and 7 o'clock last night. In one incident, a former D.C. Board of Elections representative was shot. He is now in the hospital, critically injured. In the other, a man died after a carjacking and shooting.
And that is when police say the crime spree moved into Prince George's County. We're told the carjacker dumped the murder victim's car and stole 2 other vehicles. It all ended around 5 a.m. when the person opened fire on officers. Police then shot and killed that carjacker. Now, unlike many carjackings lately, D.C. police say they believe the suspect in this case may have been someone with a mental health diagnosis.
Now, as police investigate further, the victim's family.
So there you go. They already give him the mental health out. But it's just so crazy that every time one of these super gremlins crashes out, they say mental health.
Family is shaken and devastated tonight, as you can only imagine. Our Casey Nolan spoke with him just a couple of hours ago. He joins us live in Northwest right now. Casey.
Yeah, listen, so his name was Alberto Vasquez. Friends and family called him AJ. Tonight, strangers have started a memorial here near where he was shot and killed. His family told me they're not sure what to do next.
they say life goes on or you got to be strong. And I don't even know really what strong is at this point. Like, I don't want to be strong for this.
Alberto Vasquez's family carries both the pain of his death and the questions surrounding it.
AJ was just a very charismatic, outgoing young man. That's not one that anybody would want to take his life.
They say their 35-year-old son is the man police say was shot and killed in a carjacking here Monday night at 3rd and N Streets Northeast. His parents say Vasquez lived nearby. Witnesses say they could hear him pleading with the shooter before hearing 2 shots. It's believed this is the shooter taking off in Vasquez's car to continue what police said was a violent rampage that crossed into Prince George's.
So y'all see that this super gremlin made this guy beg for his life and still killed him, pleading for his life, and he was still killed. Guys, there's going to be a reckoning. We have to understand this. We have to brace for it because this cannot go on. It literally can't. I don't see how these types of things can continue and people we just sit back and watch.
County, where he was eventually shot and killed by police.
I feel robbed from even having a conversation with him to explain to him who my son was. that he didn't have to kill him.
His parents say Vasquez had just celebrated his 35th birthday and leaves behind 2 young daughters, ages 8 and 10.
They got
Damn. So there you have. I mean, he was a father, 2 daughters, and now another fatherless home. Guys, this stuff is real, man. People's real lives are affected by your foolish actions. If you're having mental health issues, you do yourself and call it a day. But bringing other people into it, that's where the sick, I mean, the extreme wickedness comes in. And that's why we have to talk about this in the community. And like I said, I'm an advocate for group accountability. In the community, we have created the environment that enables this type of behavior. We really have. And if I really don't understand how you can't see it at this point. We have example after example after example after example drilled into our heads. And we see these scenarios play out over and over and over and over again. It's absolutely despicable.
grow up without a father for the rest of their life? Like, for what? Over a car? But I know in my heart of hearts that this will not be the end of his life and his name to just be a funeral and then that's that. Like, I don't care if it's some sort of nonprofit, something has to be done.
Bruh. A nonprofit? I mean, we need to be pushing legislation, get some bills named after people who are getting killed by these guys, and then put some teeth into, the consequences of carjacking in these cities, man. If you jack somebody's car at gunpoint or with any type of weapon, mandatory minimum 15 years. Boom. I like that.
In his honor and his name.
Before AJ was shot and killed here, police say that same shooter shot another man. As we've talked about, that was in the 900 block of K Street Northwest. WUSA 9 has learned that man is Mike Gill, the former GOP representative to the D.C. Board of Elections. And Leslie and Zoe, he is said to be fighting for his life in grave condition. Sources tell us he was picking up his wife from a restaurant in the city center shopping area when he was shot in his car. Send it back to you.
So many people's lives devastated as the result of one person.
The heartache, the agony.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is par for the course, unfortunately, in the community. Okay. So let's listen to more of the father. Okay. Let's listen to more of the father. And then we'll get some more updates on the case. And then we'll go into more of the Mike Gill situation. Okay. We'll get into more of Mike Gill and who he was and how, I mean, what are we going to get a bill from this? Gill's Law or something? I mean, we need something. We need something. AJ and Gill's Law, something, guys. We need some type of legislation with some teeth for these carjackings. Obviously, we understand he killed himself. So he was never going to face the consequences. But we need some type of deterrent because I feel like if he believed that there were more consequences, even though we know his consequence was eternal hellfire, if he believed there was a more of a consequence on this earth, maybe it would have affected his decisions. So sorry, it's only audio coming out of the right analog, so you might have to listen up.
And I guess, if you would, sir, just start by telling us who he was, what kind of person he was.
Our son. He was into sports. He loved soccer. He was a good friend. He was charismatic. He loved to dress. He was a father to two beautiful daughters. He just was. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Like this was not him. He would never hurt. From what we've been told, he didn't resist. He gave the guys the keys, and his life was taken. Like, just
Yeah, and that's probably one of the problems, guys. Fight like hell. Fight or flight, but do not submit to these super gremlins. Never. Never. I don't give a fuck if they got you at gunpoint telling you to bend down and do all this shit. Fuck that. Fight. Fight. Fight, man.
doesn't make any sense. I just don't make sense right now for us. Like, we're just trying to start and we don't even know where to begin. Like, making arrangements for my son. Where do I start? Like, I haven't been able to talk to his daughters. Will never get that chance to talk to him again. No graduations, no weddings, no nothing.
Damn, man. This is sad, and I think it's important to hear from the family, especially, guy like this. He's spelling it out plain for us. He's giving us his pain. He's giving us his hurt. He's being genuine with us, and he's letting us know how he feels. I would love to see what he believes could have prevented this. I would also love to see what he thinks should be done about this besides a nonprofit. Something with some teeth, preferably.
He's 35 years old.
Mr. Walker, do you remember the last time or the last conversation you had with your son?
Just that I love him. Like, it's just like, I love you, son. And I can hear those words. I got you, Pops. I got you. Like, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. He's got a sister and a younger sister and a younger brother. And, they don't know what to do. Like, they're lost right now without him. Like, it's just hard. It's hard. It's not going to be easy. It's, they say in due time, but I don't know.
Yeah, guys. I mean, there's a reason why YouTube doesn't want me to shine on this platform, because they don't want you to see the realness. They don't want you to see the real stories on what's really going on in the community. They don't want you to see the pain coming from the community, from Black people who are being directly affected and overwhelmingly affected by the crime, right? Because they don't want people to connect and, enact some type of drastic change, demand change. They want pretty much the status quo, continue to vote blue, and continue to vote for your demise. And I'm telling you guys, the reason why a lot of these things are happening is because the way that our voting trends are in the Black community. I saw a poll that said, even with all of this stuff that Biden has done to destroy the country, 61% of Blacks are still voting Democrat. Bruh. I saw, and I hope this poll is inaccurate. I hope they're gassing it. I really do. But the poll showed that 61%, after everything that Biden has done to slap us in the face as a country, as Black people, 61% are still voting for Biden. I mean, you can't. What can we do? I at this point, I don't know what to do. But this channel, putting out this content. Other than that, my hands are tied.
This one is rough. This one is rough.
Do you know had did he live around here? Or was
He lived on Maryland Avenue, 1645 Maryland Avenue, Northeast. So it wasn't too far from here.
Was he just like going to a store? Or do you know what he was?
We don't even know yet. Like, we have no idea. Like, if he was coming probably to the store or to the barbershop, we don't know. We just, and like, I think for us, we're at a point where it doesn't even matter. Like, at this point, it's just, we know whatever he was going to do, he shouldn't have died in the streets of, gun violence, to where we talk about it so much, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. It's never going to change. It's not going to stop just with this here, and we know that. And it's not a tragedy. This is just become normalized in a sense for America.
Okay, but who normalized it though? Let's keep it a buck. Few years back, y'all were chanting defund the police. Now this one I'm not taking group accountability for. I told y'all niggas this shit was fucking stupid. Y'all dumbasses went and gonna do it again. Defund the police, defund the police. Bruh. I mean, at this point, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. But I told your dumbasses shit, not you personally, the father, not him personally, but the community in general. I told y'all idiots that defund the police was a dumb idea and that niggas would never let you live that shit down. Literally, they're not going to let you live that down. If they defund the police, let these thug niggas have it, they will kill every person in the black community as long as they get something out of it. I'm telling you how evil and wicked these thug max alpha simps are, these thug ninjas. And y'all are I don't know if y'all think I'm playing or if I'm, just joking around. These motherfuckers will take your life and not think twice about it. They really won't. They really won't. And they don't feel bad. I wish I could talk to that brother and tell him you didn't have to kill him. Guys, they're going to look at you with that soulless look and give a fuck. Like, they're going to smack their teeth at you just like they do when the judge is, laying down that sentence.
Whether you for guns or not for guns, you believe in mental health, regardless, there has to be something done. Like, we can play with it however we want, but my son didn't deserve to die, and no one child or no parent should have to go through this to, like, why? For what? This is what we've become as a country, where we just don't even care anymore, whether you Democrat, whether you Republican. No one seems to want to do anything.
And that's a damn lie. We've been trying to do shit as Republicans, which honestly, I don't claim Republican. I'll claim Trump, but I ain't claiming no damn Republican. But we've been trying to do shit. We told y'all defund the police was fucking stupid. Y'all dumbass did it. So don't act like, oh, the Democrat out the Republican. The Republican states are fine. The Republican cities are fine. Right? I know a lot of people got criticism for DeSantis when he was running, but I mean, he's whipping Florida into good shape. We're good. All right. We're fine. It's the Democrat cities that are really struggling with this stuff. Obviously, we did see an uptick everywhere, but once, in Republican cities, at least, once they realize, okay, what's going on? Why is this uptick in crime? Who's doing it? Where, how, when, where, boom. Okay. It stopped. But in these Democrat cities, you can see a complete explosion. There's no stopping point to it. It's uninhibited. It's just free reign, anarchy.
Like, no one wants to make a tough decision. They see the bodies. I think it was 50 cars stolen so far in Washington, D.C., and the month is just Like, we're still in January. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it'll just continue to keep going, and we got to figure something out.
Always numbing.
Yes.
Background noise.
Yes. Like, how? Like, a murder should not be normalized in this country, and unfortunately it is. Like, why is it normal for someone to take someone else's life? And that's the bigger question that we need to ask. And for police officers that have to,
I mean, yeah. Ask the community. Ask why drill rap is a thing. Ask why, in every song it's talking about killing another black man. I mean, maybe you can riddle me that. Because we're talking about taking people's lives in the community. We know we do enough of that, man. And a lot of people don't like to call it out. It's an uncomfortable situation. They don't want to blame media. But media is a big influence and is a big reason why a lot of these things continue to happen. And the mindset that, many people in the community still hold, even when or after committing these acts, the whole smoking on ops thing, smoking on dead ops. This is a thing because it's cool in the community to catch bodies.
come to a family and tell a family, what does that do, like, for them? Like, even for reporters, like, some part of you lose with all of this as it becomes you doing the same thing over and over again. Like, it's not healthy. It can't possibly be healthy for the human mind to endure tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and you holding the camera and you seeing it, and it's another family and another family, and it just becomes names and faces, and it's just all just runs concurrent. I know no one signs up for this. I can't imagine that this is something that you guys signed up for. You want to cover news, not homicide after homicide. So it's just an unfortunate situation. It's just the world that we live in. And sometimes I don't know and have the.
Shout out to Johnny Reb. Hold on. Sorry. Let me see if you sent the Rumble rant. I think he sent a Rumble rant in. Oh, there we go. $10 Rumble rant. He says, "Hey, Gen Z, did you see Kentucky's bill on crime? We need mirror bills in all 50 states."
Oh, say less.
Okay. I just seen that link that you sent me. I'll take a look at it. 72 pages. We might go through this thing and really see what it's looking like. Kentucky House Bill of 2024. Okay, nice. Yeah, I might break this down on a live stream. It would be interesting to go through and see and see what policies we like and what things we don't. But anything that's going to give harsh sentences for violent crimes, I 100% support. So shout out to Johnny Rebel with that $10 Rumble rant and a $1 Rumble rant. Your donations are greatly appreciated.
Answers to it all. Like, what do we do? Like, where do we go? He didn't have to die. Like, didn't have to die. He didn't deserve to die. Not like this.
So you said your family moved originally from New York?
From New York. We came here and we moved to Virginia to give them a better life.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you thought you were trading up from DC or from New York to DC, it's really not much different. It's still like a leftist hub. It's still super woke. Earning potential for black men is better in DC. I will give you that. But I just don't think it was worth it. It's definitely worth to move from New York, but to go to DC for a better life, I don't know who told you that shit.
You know, and we thought we did. They all graduated, went on to college, and was living their life, and this happens. Like, you know, like you move away from one place, and then you come to another place, and then now that you're hit with this for what? Like, you know, you search for whatever this dream is, but we don't know what it is.
Was safety one of the reasons you moved from New York?
Yeah, because we wanted to give them a better chance. We wanted to provide them with some sort of better education, and we felt like education was the way out of everything. And maybe we were naive to never think, you know, you make plans for your
Well, I don't disagree. Education is the way out, but here's the thing: you need to be educated on the right shit. If you're just educating them on DEI and the world is soft and fluffy, and no, like, you need to understand, okay, where do I live? What are the demographics? You know, what's the unemployment rate? How are these people performing? You know, where is safe, where is not safe? You know, street smarts, but smart, all that kind of stuff. It just seems like they said, "Oh, Chocolate City, let's go." You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
your kids, and you hoping that they go off to college and they get married. You never planned for this though. Like that, I've never envisioned this. I have high expectations. Never had expectations that I would be having to bury my child over something as senseless as a carjacking. You know, it's just unfortunate. You know,
What did your son aspire to be? And
I think he was just he just loved people. He just was like, it was whatever. He just enjoyed people. He loved to just make people laugh, and he loved to party and just have a good time. And 35 years old, it's like you only got 35 years on this earth. Is just unfortunate. He
Yeah.
loved sports. I coached him in Little League and never get that back. Like, you know, always was helpful around the house. Never get that back. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh man.
I mean, he seems like a really good kid. I definitely feel for the father. However, y'all know I'm an I told you so ass ninja. Bruh, I told y'all defund the police was dumb as fuck. And DC was one of the main cities who did it. And then they're going to lie to you and say, oh, we didn't defund the police. We just rearranged funds. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. This is not going to be good.
Just didn't matter who he was with,
Yeah.
and what space he was in. Everyone always remembered AJ.
Yeah.
Everyone
loved
always
AJ.
remembers him, no matter what the scene was.
They knew AJ. Like, he just was a lovable person. Like, and never in trouble with violence or anything of that nature. Like, for this to die of a gun, you know, it just makes no sense. It's all doesn't add up, you know.
And police tell us, I mean, your son wasn't doing anything. This guy was coming up to people he did not know and just randomly attacking.
And part of me, I felt in a sense when they said he died, I just, my heart goes out to their family because I just wanted to talk to him.
Dude, fuck that guy. I hate that part where, oh, my heart goes out to them. Dude, fuck that guy. I mean, maybe the family, but if anything, the family's feeling more shame than anything, or they should. Some of these families be like, shit, they shouldn't have gotten his way. I'm telling you right now, some of these mamas will not give a fuck. I'm just mad they killed my baby. She don't give a fuck about your kids. She just, you know what I'm saying? I'll tell you that right now, bruh.
And who my son was. I'll never get that. Son wasn't like, he wouldn't hurt a fly. Like, you had to call.
And maybe that was the problem. Look, when you're in the face of these super gremlins, it really is fight or flight. You know, if you can run, do that. But I say fight, man, because these dudes are fucking, they're cowards, man. They're man, guys, y'all don't know the experiences that I had. You wouldn't even believe if I told you some of the shit that I had with dealing with these super gremlins, man. But yeah, these guys are cowards, man. They're punks. They're fucking, man, it's crazy.
Just go. Just let him live. Like, Christmas is gone. He just turned 35 10 days ago.
Wow.
Like, you know, it's just not a good place. We talk about mental health, but what do we do about it? Like, I don't see any mental health facilities going up. I don't see any, real true concern in the mental health awareness.
Mental health, dude. This guy wanted to kill people. He wanted to do his GTA thing and live his last spawned life, and that's what the fuck he did. Like, y'all keep talking about this mental health shit, dude. This guy was a fucking asshole. He wanted to die, and he wanted to take people with him. That's what it is. Like, they're trying to, let's study the brain and see exactly what part of his brain really ticked. Like, no, this guy is he's just a super gremlin on demon time.
Got money for all these wars in Ukraine. What about the people here? Like, what about American
There we go.
citizens?
Money for all these wars in Ukraine. What about the American citizens? Well, my friend, that's where your vote comes in. You voted, and I guarantee their family voted for Biden. Y'all voted for this shit. And at this point, I really don't have any sympathy for Biden supporters. I really don't. So if something horrible happens to you and your family and we can trace it back to the way that you voted, I will do that. And obviously we feel bad for you guys, but at the same time, if you voted for, the big man, then I can't feel as bad for you, right? Because it's just like, bruh, if you couldn't see the writing on the wall beforehand, I don't know what to tell you. And these will be the same ninjas who will go back and vote for him the second fucking time.
Like, this is bad.
What exactly is DC doing for all these carjackings to begin with? Like, it's just way too many within this 1 month that we haven't even reached the end of this month yet. With the amount of carjackings or just instances of this magnitude, and for us, it's touched our doorstep, and it's just not right. It's not right.
And this is what I keep telling y'all. Black people, and I don't know if they're necessarily black, look kind of mixed with some shit, but either way, people of color, they don't give a fuck until it actually affects them personally. That's really what's been going on. Until they get touched, then they don't care, and they'll continue to say, "Mo, white supremacy, da 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 da," right? But then when a nigga comes and kills, let me be respectful, but when one of these super gremlins comes and kills their family member, now it's, what's being done? What can we do? The systematic and what part of the system failed this young man? They don't give a fuck, bruh. Fuck these individuals who are committing these violent crimes. Fuck them. We need to lock they goofy ass back the fuck up forever, throw away the key, and be done with it, man. I'm so sick and tired of these people making excuses and talking about what needs to be done now since my family member got killed. Bruh, y'all didn't give a fuck until your people got touched. Now you care, but now it's a little too late. And then you're already tapped out You have a deceased son. You're burying your son. A lot of these people, they're tapped out. They can't make any political waves now because it's just too painful to relive those moments. And but my thing is, like, y'all really don't care until you get touched. And unfortunately, and I don't advocate for this, but maybe more people in the community need to get touched before they start to say, oh shit, I was talking about defunding the police 3 years ago. Maybe I should change my tune.
What does this say about safety in DC that he can't even be just innocently on the street?
I mean, yeah, and looking around in this area right now, it doesn't look like crime lives here
Crime
much.
doesn't now. When
You
crime
know,
just
so
goes
it's
wherever
everywhere.
now, it doesn't matter. Like, it can happen.
Oh no, it does matter. These super gremlins know exactly where to commit a crime and where not to commit a crime. I'll tell you that much right now. Well, they're it can happen. Okay, yeah, it can happen anywhere, but they know where to go stir shit up, and they know where to stay they ass, out of. That's just the facts.
Anywhere now. It used to be where it was certain areas you knew you stayed away from. Now it just doesn't matter. And that's the harsh reality of the society that we're living in. It just doesn't matter anymore. You can be walking in the suburbs and you can be carjacked. And I'm more on the why. What is the, like, where is the parents? I don't know if it was an older guy, younger guy. Really doesn't matter. All I know is my son is gone. That's all I know. And it just doesn't matter. Don't matter if he was white. Don't matter if he was black.
Oh no, it definitely matters, big dog. It matters. It matters. It matters because we have to identify the problem. It don't matter if he was white. It don't matter if he was black, bro. When have you, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it never happens, but when have you seen a white guy go on a carjacking spree, killing a whole bunch of people? It's just not that common. Like, it's just not like a white man's crime. Like, it really isn't something that they're just out here, oh, we're carjacking at gunpoint and bipping, bruh. It matters, bro, because if you say this is an everybody problem, then you're misdiagnosing the issue. This is a black problem. It 100%. Carjacking is a 100%. Well, I'll say it's probably like a 80% black, 15% Hispanic, 5% white. I'm not saying these numbers are 100% accurate. I'm just saying from what I've been reporting on, from what I see in these inner cities on an everyday basis, bro, white people are not going around at gunpoint in carjacking people. It's just not that common. I'm not saying it can't happen. It won't happen. And it never has happened before. Obviously, I've seen some reports of white people doing it. You always got to make the disclaimer, right? But, bro, this is a black issue. Let's just keep it a buck. And now that we can be honest and say, hey, this is a black issue, carjacking and killing people while you're carjacking is a black issue, then, we can come to a conclusion and say, hey, well, why are black people doing this? Where is this coming from? Has this always happened? Has there been a time where this was, less common? And then maybe we can replicate times where this was less common and get that number down. But, with the culture and hip hop, the carjacking thing is going to be forever. It's going to be forever a black issue just by the way that we've set up the culture, unless there's like complete culture shock. But it's always going to be a predominantly black issue when we talk about carjackings and, the likes of that, sliding on ops, all this kind of stuff.
No, my son is gone and he's never coming back.
So do you mind saying, just for the folks at the station, your first and last name?
Jacob Walker.
Okay. And what is that?
My
your
wife is
or-
Antoinette Walker.
Antoinette Walker. Okay. And your son went by AJ?
Yeah, he went by AJ.
And he seems like a good dude, man. He seems like a good dad. I got a lot of respect for this brother for speaking out and, you know, having a conversation about this, especially after losing his son. But, you know, I do want to set the record straight. You have to challenge yourself and look inwardly and say, hey, was I advocating for defund the police? Was I advocating for criminal justice reform? Was I advocating for all this dumbass, you know, all these dumbass leftist policies? If I was, then maybe I indirectly contributed to the death of my loved one.
Okay. Well, friends and family, we all called him AJ, and yeah. And that's, I mean, this won't just end just like this, though. You know, we want to do something to continue his name, his legacy, but this won't be the end. That definitely is not the end of his life, just in remembrance, whether it's doing something for a nonprofit and trying to help mental health, a gun awareness. I mean,
Bruh, help mental health. Dude, you don't even know that. The crazy thing is, they don't even know that this guy had any mental health issues. All they know is he killed, you know, 2 people and shot himself. Bro, you don't even know any diagnosis. We haven't looked at any DSM-5 diagnosis and really said, okay, this is exactly what is wrong with this guy mentally. But you're already giving him the mental health excuse. I just don't get it. This guy is fucking evil. Let's just keep it that way. He's an evil son of a bitch. And, you know, I'm glad he's not breathing air anymore. I wish that he was able to face the justice system and the full weight of the law. Well, maybe not the DC law, you know, but I wish he was, you know, I wish he was going to prison. I wish that he was going to live the rest of his life in the cell, instead of taking the quote unquote easy way out. Or maybe I wish even more harsh punishments on him. Maybe I wish he was in South Carolina where he get the firing squad, or, you know, other, you never know, but, you know, I do feel bad for the family, but like I said, we got to look inwardly to see if we indirectly cause this issue.
we already know. I think we got to get to the bigger issue of the mental health aspect of things and try and make an impact that way, to try and help the youth and figure out like what's going on. Where do they turn to? You know, is there a place for them to go to talk things out and to deal with it?
I promise you this guy was not going to talk anything out.
I got 2 granddaughters now that they're going to need some sort of counseling and guidance and mental health awareness. They're going to you know, financially we fine, but mentally, like, where do they go from here? Like, how do they talk and express their feelings? So that's the main thing that like we're going to focus on, and not allowing his name to just be another carjacker or homicide numbers such and such. Nah, this was bigger than that. My life now will be dedicated to this. I can't just leave it, you know, just like that. No.
Mm.
I appreciate your
Thank you guys.
I mean, that was a good interview. It was a really good interview. Ah, man. It's crazy. Let's see. Should we go to the law enforcement briefing? No, that's a little long. Let's get back to some the news stories, breaking this situation down. We're going to talk about Mike Gill, guys. Mike Gill, former White House representative.
Our Delia Gonzalez continues our team coverage from Northeast D.C., where there is a growing memorial for one of those carjacking victims. And Dee, what are residents who saw all this happen telling you?
You know, Les, we have been in this neighborhood for several hours today, and folks are very affected, impacted by everything that they saw here. Lots of folks said, I am too shaken up. I can't go on camera. But they did want to share that this man should have been alive today, and that they feel like they wanted to pay homage and tribute to this man. Les, in the middle of evil and terror, there is humanity and kindness, and I have found it in this neighborhood. Take a look at some of the flowers that so many neighbors have laid here at the very spot where he lost his life, here on 3rd and N Streets in Northeast. The man had no fixed address, I'm told. He didn't live in this neighborhood, but so many residents say they feel like they knew him because they tried to save his life yesterday when this all happened. But here is another victim of yesterday's crime spree. He is Mike Gill, the former GOP representative on the DC Board of Elections, serving from 2016 to 2023. Now, Gill is fighting for his life at this very hour, we're told, in grave condition at the hospital. Police say he was shot at 9th and K Northwest around 5:45 yesterday evening. Sources tell me he was picking up his wife from a restaurant in City Center. His former colleagues described Gill as a wonderful.
Now that's horrible, man. Especially for his wife. He was picking her up and ended up getting shot, killed.
And supportive man. They were actually supposed to have lunch with him today. After shooting Gill, police say the suspect traveled to the 1000 block of 3rd Street Northeast and unsuccessfully attempted to carjack a vehicle. That was around 7 p.m. 10 minutes later, police say the suspect went 2 blocks to 3rd and N Streets Northeast, where he carjacked a man and a woman, shooting and killing that man before taking off in his gray Chrysler 200.
Damn.
It's kind of become the norm, which is sad, but we've learned to adjust to it.
It'll get worse.
We've learned to adjust to it. Dude, you can't have this defeatist mindset. This is what the leftists want you to do. Just get used to it, you know? This is the new normal now. No, it's not the new normal. Like, if you look at the homicide numbers for the past couple of decades, we've gotten really low numbers. I mean, I think in 2013 or 14, we were at like, I think it was between like 9,000 to 14,000 homicides. I think 2022 we were at like 22,000. We've gotten really low numbers within the past couple of decades, and there's not much has changed except the radical left. The left has just gotten so much more radical, and that is why we see this uptick in violent crime.
Before it get better.
I'm from New York, so I usually take the train, so I didn't think it was a problem, and I'm glad I didn't bring my car now because this is pretty unsafe. My advice for DC is to stay on top of your job and maybe do some patrolling, because NYPD does patrol the blocks a little bit better than I see in DC. I haven't seen one.
Well, when NYCD patrols the blocks and stops and frisk and all this kind of stuff, then they're racist. Okay. So this is, this is, it's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy.
Like cop car yet since I've been here.
That was a young lady from New York. She is studying at university and actually in an internship here in the district. She's living in student housing on that particular block, 2 blocks away, where the attempted carjacking happened yesterday, police tell us. She moved to DC 3 weeks ago from New York. And she says, I didn't bring my car because I heard this was an unsafe area and there were lots of carjackings. I asked her, what advice do you have for DC after living in New York and seeing things turn around, she says, in regards to crime getting better, streets getting safer in New York. And that's what she said. She wants to see more police patrolling the neighborhood. It's a tough story to tell because there is so much trauma that folks have been through, and there's still so many questions, but folks, again, are showing their humanity and kindness by laying these flowers and saying that they are thinking of this man and his family as well as Gill. I reached out to Gill's co-workers where he currently works. And I'm hearing that his family is standing by his bedside. They did not want to send any comments, but they are keeping him in close watch and in prayer this evening. Back to you in the studio.
You can understand why they want to be by his side. And Delia, just when you think about the timing of these things and where they're happening and how they're happening, it's a reminder that we're all interconnected. There isn't one area that's being impacted by this violence. All of us are, and any of us can be.
Yeah, so I mean, she's admitting that anybody can get touched. It's just a very sad situation that we have going on, where you have a former White House official who was touched, indeed.
The victims of that carjacking spree, Mike Gill, was shot in the district. Gill is enlisted in critical condition tonight. He's a longtime attorney and former member of the D.C. elections.
Yeah, the carjacking spree started in D.C., ended up in Maryland. D.C. News Now's Leonard Fleming spoke to his former colleagues and joins us now with what they're saying.
This is the area where Mike Gill was shot in these random carjackings right in this area here. And his election board colleagues say he was a fair man who cares deeply about this city. But they are incensed at the random violence that has gripped D.C. for the past few years.
It's heartbreaking.
Michael Bennett once served on the D.C. elections board with Mike Gill,
Mm.
who was in critical condition after being shot in an attempted carjacking on Tuesday.
He's just a great guy, always very pleasant. Always took a look at things from a very analytical perspective.
Gill, D.C. police say, was picking.
So there you go. So, it's a lot of deters in here. Well, maybe he deserved it. I mean, was he racist? Like, it's a lot of sisters who come in and say that type of shit in the comment section. So this is coming from another brother. He's a good guy. Like, y'all stop with that bullshit, because it's absolutely ridiculous that people are trying to justify the deaths of these individuals who are killed at the hands of these super gremlins on demon time.
Picking up his wife from work just before 6 p.m. when a gunman entered his car and shot him near K and 9th Streets Northwest. Bennett, Gill says, was the lone Republican on the three-person board, but always approached his post with fairness and an open ear. He served from 2016 to 2023.
Whenever there was controversy with the public and the board, Mike would always try to find some middle ground to make people feel better.
Some people just have amazing energy.
Deanna Maria Lewis also served with Gill on the D.C. elections board.
Mike's energy is just one that I think resonates with any and everybody. He has a very calm, even keeled, temperamental, and kind spirit about him.
Lewis says she's infuriated at the random violence that has gripped D.C.
So it's like, what do we do about the fact that Mike Gill was sitting in his car?
I mean, let's keep it a buck. She voted for Biden, and she definitely advocated for defunding the police. Sometimes you could just see it on people.
Minding his business, and someone came in, opened his door, and shot him in the name of taking his personal property.
Gill's friends say he is recovering in an undisclosed hospital of his injuries and is still in critical condition, and they believe he is very, very lucky to still be alive. Reporting in Northwest D.C., Leonard and Fleming, D.C. News Now. Back to you.
Wow, man. And this story just keeps getting deeper and deeper as we learn more about Mike Gill.
Chris Giancarlo and Michael Gill are close. Working together here in Washington, they bonded over similar interests, each of them raising 3 children. The news on Monday hit hard.
I wept. I was brokenhearted, in a state of shock, and I'm still in a state of shock.
Giancarlo and Gill most recently worked together at the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, where Giancarlo was chairman and Gill was chief of staff. That's the two of them together in London.
The friendliest guy you'd ever met, but nobody's fool by any stretch. Underneath that soft exterior was a determined executive who could achieve really big things.
Giancarlo described Gill as a man with a wit who has a special human touch. People just gravitated to him. On Monday night, the 56-year-old was doing what many of us do on a regular basis, picking up our spouse at the end of a busy day.
It was just before 6 o'clock Monday night. Michael Gill was sitting in his Jeep Cherokee here outside the convention center when he was shot. His wife, Christina, found him lying outside the car, bleeding.
Damn, and that's got to be heartbreaking. That's got to be heartbreaking. Your wife finds you outside the car bleeding. I mean, look at the damage that these super gremlins are doing. And we still have no bill, no legislation to stop this crime. It's as if the American people don't even realize or feel like this is a huge issue. Absolutely insane.
D.C. police investigators believe Gill was shot by Artel Cunningham, a man experiencing a psychiatric crisis. After shooting Gill, police...
They're already giving him the mental health out. It's crazy.
Cunningham shot and killed Alberto Vasquez near a metro station. It all came to an end the next day on Annapolis Road when police say Cunningham approached two New Carrollton officers with two guns in his hands and was shot and killed.
In our time at the commission, we achieved anything. 95% of the credit goes to Mike Gill, who's a person that never sought credit, who never sought anything for himself.
Giancarlo says Mike Gill was highly respected by his peers and officials he encountered all over the world. He loves his family, and there are many prayers being offered up tonight for Michael Gill.
And there's a great old Willie Nelson song that says, "You were always on my mind." I think Mike is somebody whose family is always on his mind.
In the district, Paul Wagner, News 4.
According to court documents, Artel Cunningham was facing felony charges in January of 2021 for allegedly threatening to kill D.C. police officers.
Well, there you have it. Was facing charges, and why the fuck is he out? See, this is what I be talking about. Y'all did the criminal justice reform, bail reform. This is what y'all did. Y'all pushed that for a whole... Y'all pushed that all 2020, and y'all got it. And now it's, it's coming home to roost.
Who detained him inside an apartment building.
Fucking ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, dog. I mean, I would guarantee that 90% of the murders that I report on could have been prevented. Just like that. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. This dude shouldn't have been on the fucking streets, man. He shouldn't have been on the streets. Come on.
Thousands of dollars are going toward enhancing security at several schools across Prince William County Public.
Oh, damn. They done gave me the wrong fucking... I gotta refresh real quick. Because my story, you know how it be loading. And then it'll go on to the next story on the official sites. On YouTube, it's usually fine, but I mean, would you look at that? I mean, this guy threatened to kill police officers, and he's out on the streets, able to walk around and do whatever the fuck he pleases. While this story is loading, I'll go to the next one.
This morning, we are learning much more about the nearly 12-hour-long crime spree throughout D.C. and Prince George's County. Police say a suspect linked to several incidents, including a deadly carjacking, is the same suspect involved in a deadly police shooting in New Carrollton. News 4's Joseph Omo, live in D.C.'s Noma neighborhood with what we know right now. Joseph, you've been on this story since this morning. What's the latest?
Hey, Jimmy, I think it's safe to say that it was a very, very long night for Washington, D.C. and for Prince George's County. Two words, very tragic. That is how Mayor Muriel Bowser and the executive assistant chief of police here in D.C. are describing the long list of events that you're about to see in a second. We know a man is dead after being carjacked right here in Noma last night. Another man is fighting for his life in the hospital in critical condition after being shot along the busy K Street corridor also last night. A D.C. police cruiser was hit by gunfire. Like I said, it's been a long 12 hours in D.C. and Prince George's County.
Trauma kit. We got one person now.
You can hear the urgency in the voice of that officer as he calls for help. A suspect had just been shot in New Carrollton.
Fresh is going to be 75 Necklace Road for shots fired at officer.
Turns out that suspect, DC police say, is the same person responsible for a lengthy crime spree in both Prince George's County and DC last night. At least 3 carjackings, several more attempted carjackings, and shooting 2 people, killing one of them. It started at around 5:30 last night, K Street in downtown DC. A man is shot in his car. He gets out and collapses to the ground. Police say he's now in critical condition. Then, just over an hour later, the suspect tries to carjack another vehicle in the Noma neighborhood. He's not successful. But just 10 minutes later, he carjacks another driver nearby, shoots, and kills him. Then,
And how the fuck is this guy able to do all this and hasn't been stopped in his tracks at one point? Ridiculous.
in the early hours of the morning, and after carjacking 2 more vehicles, the suspect fires and strikes a DC police cruiser, though no officers were hit.
It's very unique, as I mentioned, because of the motivation is a little different than what we've seen in these other carjackings, where it does appear to be more of a mental health situation than a going out to commit carjackings or to commit a crime for financial gain or to get a vehicle. So.
Yeah, and Jimmy, very important to highlight there. Again, the executive assistant chief of police here in D.C. Said that it appears that this is a mental health situation. When they were asked by reporters at a press conference earlier this morning as to what may have caused this. Also worth noting that in about 30 minutes, we're expecting to hear from the Attorney General of Maryland, Anthony Brown. He'll be in Prince George's County, where this all ended between a shootout of police and the suspect. Earlier this morning, very early this morning, where we were reporting live. We know that we have several reporters on this story, and of course, stay tuned later on this newscast and News 4 at 4 for all the updates. Back to you, Jimmy.
Very interesting timeline of events there. Joseph Olmo live for us with the very latest. Joseph, thank you so much.
Man, I mean, all this chaos created in such a short period of time. Such a short period of time. I mean, guys, this is the state of the community. Are we going to wake up to this and fight like hell to change it? Because it's getting so bad, bro. It really, I don't think y'all understand, man. I know y'all watch my channel, but man, it's so bad.
We begin tonight with a breaking update to a story we've been following all week. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm Matthew Torres. Within the last 2 hours, we learned that the second person shot in a crime spree earlier this week has died. Mike Gill was shot while picking up his wife from a restaurant in City Center Monday evening. He'd been fighting for his life in the hospital ever since. Gill's wife confirming his passing in a statement to WUSA 9. It reads in part, quote, Mike was not only a devoted husband and father, but also cherished son, brother, and friend. Over the course of his remarkable life, Mike brought people together and made them feel included, supported, and loved. Gill was working for the Housing Policy Council at the time of his death. He previously worked on the D.C. Board of Elections and was a member of former President Trump's administration. Police say the same person who shot Gill also shot and killed Alberto Vasquez in Noma. He took Vasquez's car and fled to Prince George's County. The man was then shot by New Carrollton police officers. He's been identified as 28-year-old Artel Cunningham of Suitland. Investigators believe he was going through a mental health crisis.
Like I said, they're all giving him the mental health out. This is ridiculous, man. We need greater accountability on these people trying to give him a scapegoat, trying to make mental health a scapegoat. Dude, the guy was evil, man. It's crazy.
May developing the story that family of a man shot in a bold and brazen crime spree is now speaking out.
The crime started in the district and ended with an officer-involved shooting in Prince George's County.
Let's get to Melanie this morning. She's live in Northwest on more on what the victim's family has to say today. Mel?
Hey, good morning. You know, a lot of people just having a hard time wrapping their head around the fact that a man could be sitting in his vehicle right here on K Street, right a block from city center near the DC Convention Center. And right in this area, a number of high-powered businesses and law firms just sitting in the car waiting to pick somebody up when a stranger gets in and shoots him in the head. So we know that the family has come forward with a statement. And this man is now in very grave condition. His name is Mike Gill. He's a former DC Elections Board member and a senior vice president for capital markets at the Housing Policy Center. He also worked with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission under the Trump administration. Family told Fox 5 that Mike is an amazing husband, a father, friend, and colleague who adores his wife and 3 children, adding that his warmth and kindness have touched the lives of many, evident in the outpouring of love and support his family has received during this difficult time. It was 5:48 p.m. Monday evening. Police got a call for an unconscious person at 901 New York Avenue Northwest, then discovered Mr. Gill suffering from a gunshot wound on the sidewalk. We understand from sources that he was waiting to pick somebody up. It was the beginning of a series of violent attacks across D.C. into Prince George's County, one attempted and one actual carjacking in Northeast, leaving a man shot to death on 3rd Street. He's been identified as 35-year-old Alberto Vasquez, a father of 2. The suspect drove off in Vasquez's car, then dumped it in Prince George's County and carjacked 2 more. Driving a stolen Nissan Rogue, the suspect is believed to have fired shots at a D.C. police cruiser and a Maryland state trooper. Here's State Police Superintendent Roland Butler.
It appeared to be random in nature. The only thing we can stress is that citizens need to be aware of their surroundings, just like law enforcement officers have to be aware of their surroundings and prepared to defend themselves and defend citizens.
And now if you look here, you can see how close one of those bullets came to striking a D.C. police officer. The bullet fired at the trooper struck the windshield of that cruiser. In New Carrollton, officers spotted the abandoned Nissan. Investigators say the suspect then approached on foot with 2 guns. He was shot and killed by 2 New Carrollton police officers. Now, D.C. police credit witnesses and surveillance cameras with helping them identify that initial suspect and getting the alert put out so that all local law enforcement agencies could be on the lookout for him. The Maryland Attorney General's office will release the suspect's name and the name of the 2 officers involved in the shooting sometime tomorrow. So Attorney General's office investigating the police-involved shooting. Each individual jurisdiction is investigating the crimes in their area.
Definitely a rampage indeed. Thanks for the latest, Melanie.
Wow, man. Very deep story here. Like I said, DC officials getting touched. It's a big deal. It is a big deal, and we need something big done, or else we're in a whole heap of trouble. It's looking bad for the community, honestly, because the community is still asleep to this. They don't even understand that it's a problem. They really don't. Like, and this stuff is leaking out to all other communities. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Good morning, Steve. We set off the 9 a.m. Fox 5 exclusive in our City Under Siege coverage. Loved ones speaking out following the death of former Trump administration official Mike Gill. The father of 3 was shot last Monday in a region-wide carjacking and crime spree. He died this weekend from injuries. We have Fox 5's Melanie Ohnwick live with us in Northwest DC. Melanie, you and I have been covering the crime surges very closely this past year, especially, and it's always heartbreaking to hear when there's another loss of life, especially when we know it impacts so many people as well, their families, their children.
That's right. Yeah. Here, colleagues at the DC's at Housing Policy Council say that Mike was just devoted to his family, to his community. They also are expressing anger and frustration at what they say is a continued stream of violence that subjects families like Mike Gill's to just unspeakable tragedy, adding that this cycle of violence must be stopped. Gill was senior vice president of capital markets. He was once the chief of staff at the independent Commodities Futures Trading Commission, first hired during the Obama administration. He also worked with D.C. law firms and served 7 years on the D.C. Board of Elections, where, according to his wife, his integrity, diligence, and unwavering sense of fairness ensured that the democratic process thrived. Tuesday, he became another victim in D.C.'s crime crisis. Longtime friends and colleagues are grieving.
Shock and grief. It's been a difficult week for everybody. obviously, especially his family and close friends. But Mike had hundreds and hundreds of friends and close colleagues from his different walks of life. And at the Board of Elections, we're like a family, and all of us at the BOE are very, very sad.
Gill was critically wounded Tuesday when a suspect got in the back of his car, shot him, and left the scene running. Sources tell us he was on life support, and Gill's wife, Christina, announced his death Saturday. As you know, we've been covering the man then went on a major carjacking and crime spree, killing another man in the process on N Street. He may have been experiencing a mental health crisis, investigators say, and that carjacking spree ended in Prince George's County, where the suspect was shot and killed by New Carrollton police officers. Now, you heard from Gary Thompson there, a colleague from the D.C. Board of Elections, and he tells me that they are coming upon a very busy season, certainly when it comes to elections, and they do plan to carry on as Mike would have wanted them to. And of course, as far as the crime crisis, we can tell you that tomorrow the D.C. Council will take that first vote on the Secure D.C. reform bill that is supposed to make a number of changes to D.C.'s crime laws. Let's get back to you.
Yeah, man, we'll just have to watch and see what happens. Thank you so much for that report.
Anything that they do to try and fix the crime is going to be considered racist. So I doubt we'll see anything with teeth for a substantially significant time period. But guys, that was a heavy story. I think we got the gist of it, and we got, most of the details. Still haven't gotten a good picture of the shooter, which I'm still trying to figure out, because I don't know why, but it just seems like they're keeping most of this shit under wraps because they're giving him the mental health excuse. So that's what they do. Let's see. They try and hide the fucking suspect, Artel Cunningham. I mean, you can't find shit on this guy. I mean, not a good picture, at least. Right? Okay, so. Okay, there we go. So I got one on the Daily Mail. Here we go. Thank goodness. So, let's see. So this is the super gremlin of the hour, Artel Cunningham. This is Mike Gill and his family. Rest in peace. This is Alberto Vasquez, the other victim. As you can see, Artel Cunningham. I mean, I don't really know, because he looked more like the educated lame type, honestly. He looked more of, he doesn't look completely thug maxed, as you guys can see. But then he puts on the shiesty and it's OV. So there you have it. None of the major news sources were really, the only one who has a legit picture of him is Reddit and Daily Mail. But nobody else is running a good picture of this guy. So there he is. This motherfucker crashed out. Completely crashed out. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you joining the stream. Make sure you like the video, share the video, comment immediately after the video ends for the algo. If you can, leave a donation, cop the merch, value for value. But anyways, you already know what it is. It's your boy, blackgenzmindset, aka BGZM News 17, aka Janquavius Jackson. And we are going to go ahead and send it off to Janquavius Jackson and take us away. I appreciate you guys for joining the stream. Make sure you hit that notification bell. YouTube is doing everything they can to censor and shadow ban us. So, with you guys' help, we will be able to reach the algo again, and maybe potentially all of my subscribers will be notified when I go live. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Make sure you comment immediately after the stream ends. I want 49 comments like 5 minutes after the stream ends, you know, to support the channel, share the channel, so that we can work on preventing things like this in the future. But you already know what it is, guys. Be safe. Peace out. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time. What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jinquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe. Hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jinquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all killing me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take
What
all your
more do you want from me?
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
So it is what it is.